Enzo, off! Move! Enzo, move. Now. Up. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, this is a bit of a different video because we have some changes to plans. Now, for those of you that knew a lot about my prep and knew what the plans were, we were going to be competing till the 9th of December and we were supposed to be going France. And we aren't anymore. So we are ending prep early, and this is actually my final week on prep, and this weekend is my final show weekend. And there's a few reasons for that, and I wanted to come on my channel and speak to you guys and just be really raw and honest with you about why I've decided to end prep early and all my reasoning behind it. So firstly, I just want to make it clear that I have enjoyed prep, and it's not because I don't. The reasons for wanting to end it is very different to what many may think. I love prep. It's pushed me so much. It's been a great eye-opener. It's been lovely to see that my discipline is still there after taking 2 years off competing. And I've been able to find a really good balance on this prep where I've been able to still go out, at least in the first few months before I'm a zombie. But I've been able to go out and really enjoy while also putting the work in, taking my meals and ticking the boxes. So in that sense, it's actually been my most enjoyable prep so far, but it's also been my toughest as well. And this is also, as you all know, going to be my final season competing for the foreseeable future. I don't see myself competing again, but never say never. The stage is always there, so who knows? But I do know for the foreseeable future, I will not be competing. As I grow up and my mindset changes, I feel like I've changed a lot in the past 2 years and grown. And because of that, the way I look at life and everything makes me realize that as much as I love bodybuilding, it's not the be all and end all for me anymore like it may have been 2 years ago. So I'm going to talk you guys through a couple of reasons why I'm ending prep early and why it had its tough moments. So firstly is age. I have seen a massive difference in my body and how it's responding compared to 2 years ago when I was 26 and now I'm 28. So as much as people say age doesn't play a role, I think it does in terms of you seeing, if you are consistent like I have been, you will see the difference in how hard you need to push. I have had to push way harder on this prep than I did 2 years ago, which is fine. I'm happy to put the work in, but it takes a toll. My body isn't the same that it was, and I can see that in multiple ways, such as the amount of expenditure I have to do, the amount of cardio I have to do, how low my food has had to get. As much as I built my food up very high during my bulk and all of last year, I still had to drop my food fairly low to about 1100 to actually see my body drop weight, which is unfortunate, but I think that's just the way my genetics and my body is. And me being 5 foot as well, all these statistics don't really play hand in hand for me very well. Alongside that, I've been able to prep twice in the past and not lose my period. However, my hormones are definitely different now, and I believe I have lost my period. Technically, I was due it in earlier this week and it didn't come, and I'm about 4 or 5 days late. Last prep, I managed to get a very light period towards the end, and then we had finished prep, so I never lost it. And losing your period is very normal on a bodybuilding prep. I got lucky that I hadn't, but where I've hit this point of messing with my hormones and losing my period, I just feel like it's not worth prepping any longer. I want to have a good recovery phase post-show to make sure I get my period back. Your hormones are so important and crucial at this point in your age. The way that we also knew that I was potentially losing my period is because 5-6 weeks prior to this point now, I was doing my first show of the season, which I was coming in at 70%. And for some reason, I was getting my period every 2 weeks. And when we checked on this, we realized this is a sign that you could be losing your period. And now where I've gone 4 weeks plus and not got my period, it's clear that I've potentially lost it, which I don't want to go further down that route if that's the case. Secondly, I am a natural athlete and I always have been. And I have nothing against anyone who takes assistance. By all means, everyone's got to do what they got to do. It is bodybuilding, that's the whole point. But something that I promised myself was I was going to stay completely natural. So no assistance, no growth hormones, nothing like that. I'm also never taken any extreme fat burners such as clenbuterol or anything like that. I've been 100% natty and plan to stick to that. However, I feel like there isn't a solid place for me in bodybuilding right now because of where I lie with everything. So the class that I do is wellness, and wellness is basically when you have bigger legs and a smaller upper body. So you're kind of disproportionate in a sense. So I think I have that balance. However, all the legitimate drug-free federations that would drug test you to make sure you are natural, they don't have the wellness class just yet. And maybe they'll have it next year or the year after, but it's still such a new class in bodybuilding that I can't compete. And if I was to compete in those kind of federations, my body would not suit those other categories and I would not place well. The shows that I have been doing are either open shows, which mean there are people next to me who are on assistance, which is absolutely fine, but I just feel like it's not very competitive for me personally. The federations that I am doing that are natural aren't really actually drug testing. So it's not really fair game, I feel like, personally for me. And that's no shade to the federations or anything like that. It's just I feel it's not competitive for me and it's not straightforward for me. So I feel like there's not really a place for me in bodybuilding right now. I know that could change later down the line, but I'm ready to move on to the next aspect of my life and focus on other things. It's also difficult because the federations that I'm doing don't necessarily drug test. There are people who are potentially on stage with me who could be on assistance or taken assistance in the past. I know of people who have done natural shows and actually taken assistance, but if you take it out of your system in enough time, the drug tests don't even catch it. So it's loads of complications with things like this, and I totally understand it's bodybuilding, it is what it is. Like I said, no shade, no hate. This is just my opinion and how I feel about it. And that's why I'm choosing to step away from it, because I understand it doesn't work for me. But I see it work for so many other people, and I see so many other friends of mine who are absolutely smashing it in their bodybuilding. The other thing to bear in mind is genetics. And as a South Asian, I've been doing a lot of research on our genetics. And due to the way of our upbringings, the way our families have eaten, the way our parents eat, and the way they have made us eat growing up, it means that the way that we've eaten is a very much high carb, low protein diet, which means a lot of times food gets stored into our fat cells rather than our muscle cells, especially when it comes to carbohydrates. So I've been doing a lot of research on this and understanding that there's just certain areas of my body that are going to hold on to fat. And as much as I diet to extremes, there may be areas that I just can't get rid of fat unless I take certain fat burners or assistance, which I'm not would be like willing to do. And the same way that my genetics play a role in terms of placing fat in certain areas that are very stubborn, I also struggle to build muscle in certain areas. So as much as I've taken time off from stage and tried to grow my upper body a bit more because I know I need more muscle there, I am struggling to do so. So when I am on stage and I'm seeing my photos next to other girls, I realize I'm far behind in terms of competitiveness when it comes to that muscle growth. My legs, I'm absolutely happy with. My legs are very competitive, but my upper body just does not hold enough muscle, which in a day-to-day aspect, I love how I look. I love my upper body to lower body ratio, but from a competitive standpoint, it doesn't really stand a chance. And this is my third season competing, so it goes further than just experience. I am doing this to be competitive, but I can also hold my hand up to know when I'm not competitive anymore. So that is another reason why I'm stepping away from it. The final thing is money and finances. For me to go all the way to France and to do like a 7-8 month prep is absolutely fine to do. If I felt like I was going to be competitive, I would be more than happy to do it. But I think based on my previous placings at some of the shows, I realized that it is a lot of money to travel abroad for prep for shows. I'd be spending well over $1,000 traveling to France to do this show. So to do that and to know I'm not competitive and where I need to be doesn't seem worth it in my opinion. And as much as I really wanted to do an overseas show, like I said, the stage is always there. Who knows, in a couple of years' time, I may eventually build some upper body muscle and it may be different for me. But my priorities are different, and where I choose to spend my money, I would choose to invest it into different areas of my life, such as back into the business, back into the brand, rather than into bodybuilding. It is a very expensive sport. I've spent a lot of money on it. I spent a lot of money 2 years ago on it. And like I said, my mindset is in a different place now compared to then as well. So that is some of the reasons as to why I'm finishing my prep early, whether it's finances, health, competitiveness. It feels like the right decision for me. And although I feel a bit ashamed to finish the prep early. I told so many people I was going to France. I owe it to myself to be honest, and I owe it to myself to know when to step down. I think, yes, it's good to be disciplined, it's good to be resilient and to push through and, not give up. But to me, I don't think, after speaking to my friends, my family, and my coach, I don't think it's me giving up. I think it's me understanding when to walk away because there's other things to focus on and looking at what's more important to me right now. And I feel like by the time I finish this prep, I would have done 6.5 months, 4 shows, 3 federations, which is a level up from my season 2 years ago and 3 years ago. And I've beaten my package from 2 years ago. I look 10 times better than I did 2 years ago. And that's also the other thing. It is much more competitive this season than it was 2 years ago. Even though I look better and I know I do, the competition's higher, the standards are higher, and that's just what bodybuilding is. The plans going forward is kind of exciting because there's a lot of unknown territory. I have never not focused on bodybuilding. I have never not had a plan in place of when I was going to compete and when I was going to have an off season, but I'm so ready to strive for something different now. So what my plan is to reverse out once my season ends, which will be in about a week and a bit's time, completely. And I don't want to bulk anymore. I don't want to worry about bulking and getting massive. I've always been two extremes with bodybuilding, being really lean and being restricted, or being really heavy and uncomfortable and living life. And I'm so ready to just get to a body weight and a size and look that I love and maintaining at that point. So that is what we're going to do. I'm roughly just under 48 kilos right now. I would like to reverse out and maintain between 50 to 52 kilos while slowly building up my food. So I'm excited for the flexibility I'm going to have. I'm going to have a chat with my coach this week and basically start doing my own programming going forward by having her overlook everything to make sure I'm having a good reverse out from show, because your reverse out from prep kit is very delicate and very tough. I'm excited for that. In terms of food, I'm also going to be macro tracking, which means I'm going to be basically flexible dieting and using MyFitnessPal. No more meal plan forever. If I want to have a meal plan, I can, but there's no forced intention to have one. There's no restrictiveness with it. I'm excited to play with foods, try new things, and change the way I do content on social media now because I have the flexibility. As much as I love bodybuilding, and I always will, and I'll always implement it into my life, it is a lot of restrictiveness in the sense of what you need to achieve to be competitive. So I'm excited to flexible diet and eat different foods and create more food content on social media and try new things. And alongside that, I'm excited to focus on a hybrid style of training. So I'm always gonna do bodybuilding, but I'm also gonna add in Pilates, and I'm also gonna dabble into functional training, CrossFit, and basically do a hybrid style of training. So that's basically the plan, and I'm really excited to just get my own, basically, in a sense, kind of coach myself, because I've always had a coach, and not because I needed one, but because the accountability in bodybuilding is super important to progress. But now that I'm not solely focused on that, I'm going to see what I want to do and just see what the future holds, see where my training takes me. Maybe CrossFit will give me better delts, who knows? So I'm going to enjoy that. I'm going to focus on being more mindful with my food, with my training, changing things up, enjoying it. It's basically a lot of freedom that I'm excited to have and see where that takes me. Because of that free reign I have, I'm excited to now invest further into the Body by Aiken brand, which means pushing things a lot for the brand, doing different styles of social media and different styles of content. And we're also looking at doing potentially overseas retreats. We do our annual workshops. So there's a lot of things that I am looking forward to doing next year. And I don't really know what the future holds in terms of how I'm going to reverse out from show, what my maintenance weight is going to be, how I'm going to look, and what things are going to look like. But I'm just so ready to be present and mindful and enjoy and focus on other aspects of my life. I'm so ready for that. And I'm ready to take you guys on the journey where I step away from bodybuilding and step into the next chapter of my life, my career. And that's why I felt like I need to come on my YouTube and tell you guys all about it. So stay tuned.